Ladies and gentlemen, Golden Age comic connoisseurs of every age, you are about to join the Golden Age of Comics with your host, Dr. Paul, Phantom Phil, and Captain Larry. Please join me in welcoming the Golden Age of Comics. How's everybody? I guess we're just finishing up dinner.
Yeah, well, sort of. You guys are.
Yep.
Dr. Paul, I see you're in a hotel room. You're traveling.
Yeah, you are not.
I sort of am. I am not in the same undisclosed location from which I normally broadcast. I'm in a new undisclosed location. Listen, the house is still protected by armed people. The goods are still in the vault. So people don't think just because I'm on the road, I'm vulnerable. Okay.
I'm pretty sure Mama's guarding your stuff.
Hey, it's Sunday. That means it's time for the Golden Age of Comics, our alternating show. If you're here looking for the comic book conservation live show, that'll be next week. We had a great show last week with Matt Nelson. I had a lot of fun.
Really did. That was great.
The crowd seemed to like it, and I just always enjoyed talking to Matt. We always learn something. He's so gracious with his time. But that was last week. If you haven't seen it yet, please check it out either on my channel or Larry's. And this week we're talking some Golden Age comics, and Phil is the master of this show. He's put together the content because, he wanted to, and Larry and I are on the road. So welcome. Larry, why don't we start with you? Where are you these days?
Well, I am hiding my hotel room right now. I am currently in Liège, Belgium. And it is 1:38 in the morning, so I was sleeping.
Yeah.
And I got up to join you, wonderful gentlemen.
Well, thank you for
that.
Yeah, well, these are the things you got to do when you're on the road. So yes, I do have my background banner up, so you're not looking at my unmade hotel bed or anything like that.
I swapped some art around. I actually really kind of like this one. So, but there was something else that was neat, but it was a little bit distracting. This one's a little more abstract.
Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can find me on Instagram. Most of that's very frequent. Facebook and YouTube, of course. And of course, you can always visit my website at flyingoutcomics.com. And that said, I'll pass it on to Mr. Phillip up on my shoulder.
Phantom Phil.
Hey, everybody. You may know me also from the Comic Book Conservatory's live cast with these two fine gentlemen. So some things change, but some things stay the same, it seems. And on that note, one of the things staying the same is I'm coming to you live, as always, from the line of Brooklyn and Queens here in New York City, somewhere in Aunt May's attic.
Yeah.
There. As always, you can find me
preempting the chat.
You can find me on Instagram at Phantom Comic Studios, at phantomcomicstudios.com. You can send me a message. As I like to say, and as you've already said, Dr. Paul, this must mean it's Sunday, which means, while I work with comics and I'm always drowning in comics, this is kind of a nice reprieve. I was putting together the slides, and it was fun. I will admit, I learned a bit myself putting together the slides tonight for the segment I was going to show. So.
I always learn something because I always start with a concept and then I start digging, and it's like an onion with layers, and I learn as I go. And I always enjoy putting together the content for either of the shows. I just noticed I might blind somebody with the glare. Hopefully you got your sunglasses on.
Well, what I always do
the Chrome Dome. The Chrome Dome is in full effect. Makeup didn't have a chance to stop by and put a little de-glare on that.
We can wet towel you, and you should be okay.
I have been. If you want to, I was on 60 Minutes. I was an expert interviewed on 60 Minutes back in the day. I actually had the makeup, and it came and did just to take the glare off.
Just a little.
You're just shiny.
Yeah, well, it's even more so when I get excited. Here we go. So let's thank this show sponsors. We had so many generous chats during the show with Matt Nelson. All those folks contributed to bringing this show to you live, ad-free. So if you're watching it live, you're watching it without commercial interruption. If you're watching it on demand, we thank you, we appreciate you, but sadly you are watching with a little bit of commercial interruptions. Hopefully it's worth your time. Nevertheless, the sponsors of this show: Salesboy Comics, Don Carter, Collecting Chaos, You Plucked My Last Comic, I Am the Starman, Gorilla Monkey 3K, Comic Doctor, Department of Comics, and Archivist Adrift. I got that all in one breath.
Wow. Thanks, everybody.
Good job.
Thank you all so much again for your generosity. We truly appreciate you. And again, fans, viewers, check them out on their social media platforms, on the YouTubes, and Salesboy's got a little Batman issue action going on. Go check that out. While we're thanking folks, we have already next show sponsored by Collecting Chaos. Thank you so much. And
thank you very much.
And Gorilla Monkey 3K. And it looks like You Plucked My Last Comic as well. The regulars all here supporting the show. We super appreciate you. It does help offset the costs. It's very much appreciated. Salesboy getting in there. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh, look at all the sponsorship we have. All right, let's do shout outs real quick and say hi to everybody. Collecting Chaos says it wasn't him. The Professor Peter Alachi says hello, friends. I apologize for the noise if you can hear that. I don't know if you can, but I'm in a noisy district, so even with the mic and everything, let's see. The professor says just finished peroxiding and soaping my cat Angelo after getting skunked.
Oh no!
Hydrogen peroxide solution is the best thing to get rid of your skunked animal.
I always thought it was tomato sauce.
No, it does work, but if you talk to a vet and public service announcement, just hydrogen peroxide, a lot of it, and
it's more sterile, so that makes sense.
What it does, it removes the oils from the skunk. My mom's dog just got skunked like last week, so we learned all about it.
Yeah, we had a terrier that got into skunks like 3 times before he learned, but he did eventually learn and lived to a ripe old age of nearly 17, and didn't get skunked like the last decade of his life. So.
Well, you haven't lived. You've had a dog that decided to bite a porcupine.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And not only did they do it once, but twice.
Yeah. We actually we were at my mom and stepdad's when one of his dogs got into a porcupine, and he had to pick all the quills out of the muzzle and everything. It was
that's what we had to do too. But we didn't learn until the end from a vet. If you actually take dikes and cut the quills, the fluid comes out, and the quills retract, and you just slide them out.
Oh,
but my poor dog got tortured. We just take turns walking by and yanking one out, and it was awful. And then 2 weeks later, she did it again.
Don Carter, good evening. JCP is here. How about the oldest person in the chat gets a no prize? All right, chat. Shout out your age. Ben Stewart says good evening. Phil Ailing is here. Welcome. And Rick Gomez is here. Welcome.
What about the youngest person? Does that have any bearing?
The three hosts don't need to disclose their age. This is chat people.
You're exempted from winning any prizes. I'll tell you. So
My time is my prize, I suppose. I'll take it.
yeah, I've, as you guys know, one of my other hobbies is bird watching, and I often find myself the youngest person in the bird watching room. But Brittle Page Man is here too. Welcome all. So we'll shout out ages as we get started. There's a young man that shares my birthday. The Starman David is 42. All right. Well, while folks are shouting out ages, let's get this show started, shall we?
We could put some comics on the screen at least. I think that's fair to everyone that's here to see the Golden Age show. I think that's fair. So tonight we're going to be talking. It's so easy to go down a rabbit hole when you start talking about books. I could start talking about the artists and everything that's detailed in every in every story inside. But tonight, what I thought would be fun to show is, if you've ever noticed before in some of the early appearances of Superman and Batman and Detective and Action Comics, you'll see when they were first incepted, they weren't on the cover of every issue from the beginning. And there's more to it than that. And that's what we're going to discuss tonight. So,
absolutely.
So it's a very specific period in time for DC, really. There's a little bit afterwards I'll show, but really the focus is June 38 to January, in the first few months after January 1940. So really just a year and a half period in time, showing kind of a lot happened in just a year and a half.
Oh, wow. So much was happening, right? Phil Lanzino's here. Welcome. Variance Vault's here. For some reason, didn't disclose age. Don't know why. A bunch of Pisces in the house. Happy birthday to all the Pisces.
So one little thing I'll note too, just to start the segment off, I did this. I thought it was fun. If you'll notice, I didn't randomly pick these two groups. This was purposeful. Right. So if you'll see, Detective, we have Detective Comics 28, 29, and 30. And Detective Comics 30 was on newsstands the very same month as Action Comics 15 that you see there. And then Action Comics 15, 16, and 17, right? So both of those in the center were on stands at the same time. And if you'll notice, you got Superman with the submarine, but it's just some guy welding. Like, what? What? I don't understand. Make it make sense. Let's dive in.
Wait, is that how they overlap? No, the welding guy is with Superman with the tank, right?
These are both August 1939.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, chat, extra bonus points. You guys can guess my age. That'll be fun.
You guys are both in your mid to late 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true. I am 39 years young.
Well, I'm only 28, so I don't know.
Again?
So let's start with Action 1. I think this was kind of a good starting point. So I was going to start with Detective 1, but just for kind of all intents and purposes, this is the focus on the alternating covers of Batman and Superman. So
sure,
Larry,
that is the most iconic cover that everybody recognizes, is that Action right there.
Yep. So June 1938, Superman appears for the first time. So Detective Comics had already been out for 16 issues. 15 issues. So when issue 16 came out, it had been around for a while, but it really just had characters like Speed Saunders and Slam Bradley, who were detectives, private eyes, but nothing really super. It was understandably in Detective Comics, you had detectives. So it made sense. It fit the theme, even though this was still just an anthology title.
Yeah. And coming out of the pulps, coming out of like the detective noir type archetypes, it was very much in keeping with that that feel. And Slam Bradley really epitomized that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Similar to Mickey Spillane type, you know, detective stuff.
Well, you start thinking about the mobsters and things like that, because this was before the war started. I mean, there was
Yeah.
noises in Europe going on at the time,
Mm-hmm.
but the genre focus was really around mobs and crime and
Sure.
things like that. So that's what
Well,
they drew about.
right, and to put it again in context, right? You had the Roaring Twenties, but you had Prohibition. Prohibition leads to the
Mhm.
rise of the mob and organized crime, and you know, eventually the creation of the FBI. So this is the sort of fiction where detective was operating at the time. Detective Comics, I should say.
Yeah, like the detective genre kind of was. I don't know if you want to use the word dominating, but this shows kind of the era that it was coming right after the pulp era. You know, that preceded the comic book era. So there is some overlap really when you see some of the covers, especially some of like the early Marvel mystery covers. They're very pulpy, you know, because you had some of the same artists too that were doing the pulp covers that were transitioning to doing the comic covers too.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to point out you start, and I agree with the choice to start with Action One, but Detective has already been ongoing for well over a year, right? So
Yep.
Detective Comics is on number 16 on the newsstand the same month as Action One.
Yep.
One of the reasons why it's so tough to find a Detective One.
Yep. Now we'll transition in a little bit. So if you didn't know, now you do know. Superman appeared on Action 1, but let's see the top row there. Action 2. I don't see Superman. What about the next issue?
Yep.
Superman.
No.
Issue 4? Still no Superman? You're like, you gotta be careful. Well, by issue 5. Nope. So up until issue 6 there. In issue 6, that's the first Jimmy Olsen on the cover there. Jimmy Olsen they put on the cover before Superman.
Jimmy made it before
Superman's second appearance on the cover.
Appearance. Yeah. Now, naturally, in that same time, since we're looking at Detective Comics and those savvy Golden Age collectors, you know, they'll know that Batman appeared in 27, so he's not even out yet. They still have the detective stories. Issue 20 had the first appearance of the Crimson Avenger, who's kind of a step up from just a detective. He's at least a hero who wears a mask. In fact, he's the first masked hero, specifically hero, not superhero, that DC produced. And he had a gas gun and, you know, very detective-like still. You know, it was really just a small step up. He didn't have any superpowers or anything.
And when you say DC, the distinction here is that Action Comics was published by National, Detective Comics was published by Detective Comics, and of course, American Comics is also a company at the time, coincident with these two, and those three start co-marketing, which you'll talk about, and then eventually become DC Comics. So when you say DC here at the time, you're being very specific to mean Detective Comics, not the company that would one day become DC.
Correct. And
also, would somebody please check on Jason? I don't know. We're like 15 minutes into the show and Jason Adrift is not here. I think somebody needs to call his next of kin or his find his phone and dial the number that's labeled ICE, please, somebody.
The other thing is you look at the design and the layout of the comic books of this era. We had the broad banner on the top with the lettering. That was the common trade press for the day.
Yeah, dominates a third of the cover.
Exactly. It was a huge amount of the cover. So when they did recalls or collected the unsold stuff, that section would be torn off and returned to the printer for the credits. So that's another reason we also had trouble finding these Golden Age books.
Oh yeah. Anybody else think that these massive cover dress like are by far the best?
I absolutely.
I'll go so far as say I know that this massive cover draft, it goes into Detective, I want to say like issue 111, maybe 113. Someone in the chat correct me, but I kind of am disinterested in the rest of the run after this big giant trade dress goes away. I mean, okay, the first appearance of the Riddler will get me back on track, but between the end of this giant trade dress and the first Riddler, there's very little I'm interested in, if I'm being frank. I just love that giant iconic trade dress so much, and it speaks to the early golden age to me.
It really does. And they use that same layout they have with other printers. I mean, you look at your EC Comics and all the other brands, they all use that similar layout.
Okay, everybody can breathe easy. Jason's here.
Jason's alive,
friend.
Just two quick things I was going to make a note of. One is, so for Action Comics, they had Superman appear on the cover of his first appearance, issue 1. For this new character, the Crimson Avenger, who appeared in issue 20, you look at issue 20 there. I don't know, unless you're a detective and he's there hiding somewhere on the cover, you got to point him out. I don't see him there at all. So they didn't really have much faith in the hero, really, still. And again, remember, this is Action Comics and Detective Comics for the next 5 months after Superman. There's no superhero at all on either title. That is really astounding when you think about it. So they didn't really quite know what they had. They really did not know what they had.
They had no idea. And it speaks to how long it took them to gather information in this age, right? I mean, nowadays, they still, I mean, Marvel or DC today, they publish something. It still takes them a little bit of time to find out how well it's going to sell. But that's only for things that sort of they start as a slow burn and take off. Things that are a hit right out of the box, they know it because they know it from the time of pre-orders. They haven't even printed them yet. They already know it's a huge success, right? So in this era, it took them half a year to find out from the time they created something to the time they knew whether or not it was a financial success. It literally took them half a year. And that's why this cycle is so long.
Yep. One other interesting thing of note that I just noticed myself right now, never noticed until I had these kind of sorted out, at least for these consecutive issues here, you'll see for Detective Comics, the 10-cent icon is around a bubble, but for Action Comics, it's around
parallelogram.
A parallelogram. Thank you. I was like, it's not a square, but it's 4 sides. And then also of note is the image area itself on Detective stays totally contained, but on Action, at least for the 4 covers after issue 3, the image actually has areas that accentuate and kind of stick out.
Yeah,
I just think
you're right.
That intrude on the trade dress. I prefer the ones that intrude on the trade dress. I think it gives it a bit of extra 3-dimensional character.
I was going to say it gives dimension.
Yeah. I don't know which issue it is, but the penultimate one that you're showing here with the maybe it's a police sergeant when his hat's flying off. I mean, how great would that be if that hat was intruding on the trade dress?
Yeah. So those are just I would take it artistic decisions at the time made by the artists who.
Or more likely, probably the editors, and of course, you have different editors here because you're again operating as independent companies at the time.
Imagine if you saw the original art for that Detective Comics cover, if that one exists, and you could see the hat was there, and they said, no, cover it up with the banner. What are you doing? This has to stand out from the other books on the news. Like, you have the hat there, it's going to be covering up the O and the M. No one's going to know what the book is.
No one will know. Oh man.
All right, so at least with issue 7, they finally got their stuff together, and they were like, all right, we'll put Superman on the cover. And then coincidentally, and this is kind of funny because I didn't realize this after putting the segment together, but while Superman and Batman will see alternated, at least for Superman's second appearance, they let him compete with the Crimson Avenger on the cover of Detective 22. So there he is in all of his glory with his gas gun and his mask.
Yeah.
Pretty cool cover too, if you've never seen it.
Oh, it is neat. Yeah. These pre-Batman detective comics, they're so difficult. I mean, some of them are, if I'm not mistaken, if they're not single-digit census, they're like, 10 or in the teens, a few of them, right? And they're just so tough to find. One of the things that was astonishing was the Christine Farrell complete DC collection had all of them. Some of them were, restored. Some of them were low grade, but they were all.
But they were there.
And it's just bananas to think about how difficult it was to put all those together.
As a sample size, to be fair, we only did look at the 5 previous issues. But here, I suppose you can make the argument. Look, the guys in the art department too made a decision. It's flipped here. You got the Crimson Avenger popping.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, he definitely warranted it.
That makes sense. Now, after Superman's second appearance, it kind of reverts a little bit back to the way it was before, only with less of a gap between his second and third. So for Action 8 and 9, they go back to no Superman again. But at least with Action 9, they were like, maybe Superman's on the cover, but let's at least let the readers know he's inside. I think that's fair. That's so for the first time they put a banner saying, in this issue, another thrilling adventures of Superman.
Yeah.
At the same time, still no superhero in Detective Comics, because as again those savvy people know, and as those that don't know will find out, Batman still has not appeared yet. So.
Right. And one interesting thing that I think is, within a few years, they know that Superman is such a gigantic hit that books that have nothing to do with him have the DC Bullet logo and they say a Superman comic on them, even though, of course he's not in it. It's just published in this loose affiliation with the company that does publish him. So it took them a long time to figure that out. But once they figured it out, they leaned all the way in.
Yeah.
I guess we can call it in terms of the chat. I think nobody is been on the earth longer than Jim. So I think it was kind of foregone. In fact, I don't know who said, let's do this competition to see who gets the no prize for the age. I mean, maybe that was like a burner account that Jim has. But, anyway, hats off to Collecting Chaos, who's been on the planet longer than I have, but has retained more hair. Good job.
One little thing here that I noticed too when putting this together was that the language subtly did change to kind of mark the writing on the wall, so to speak, that while they weren't on the cover of every issue, the superheroes would soon be on the cover, because on the cover of Action 9, it says another thrilling adventure of Superman, the first banner. Within 1 month, that changed from not just another thrilling adventure. They said Superman appearing in this issue and in every issue, to say, like, just in case you didn't think he would be, because we haven't been putting him on the cover. Sorry. He will be in every. So it's almost like, I wonder if there's a better way we can let readers know that Superman is going to be in the issue. I don't know what that could be. Maybe we'll figure it out. So.
I mean, that is a great cover too. If you go back one, the first 3 Superman covers are really great covers, right? I mean, we still have Schuster on art detail here, and for my money, there wasn't a better artist for him in the Golden Age. So, it takes us a long time to get to his 3rd cover, but they're worth it.
Yeah, that's a great cover. That said, man, they still kind of didn't get their stuff together, because as you'll see, I mean, what is this Action 11? They're like, okay, I guess it's action still. No Superman, no.
Yeah.
All right, and really the banner too is kind of hidden. There's just white text.
Oh yeah,
in that area just beneath the masthead. It's not even an apparent. By the way, Superman, you got to really be reading. If you're a kid and you're visual, you might just totally glance that over. So, it's okay.
That said, though, Zatara also appears in Action Comics 1. He's got to wait till Action 12 to get his first cover appearance, and then he has to share it with Superman anyway.
It's true.
For my money, 12 is the best like non-Superman cover of the early Action issues. I guess it's just the best non-Superman cover of Action Comics, in my opinion, because of course, after that, he's on all of them.
Yeah. So as we can see here, so Action 11 and Detective 26 would be the final month that there would be no hero on either cover. So that was the last time. So
that's what year?
So that would be April 1939.
April 39. April 39, DC collectively, I'm calling DC now the company that would become DC, the three separate publishing houses. They finally figured out superheroes are the thing, and from here on out, we're going to have them. We're going to have at least one of the titles feature one of these spandex characters. I guess spandex wasn't invented yet, right? Somebody let us know when spandex was invented. Because even though it wasn't at the time, I still call these spandex heroes.
Real quick, I just don't want to miss this comment from Rick saying, did they change the banner due to the amount of page space it was taking? I mean, I suppose you can make the good case for like the difference between Action 9 and 10 instead of a box, making it just a strip to show more. That would make sense. You know, they want to let you know, but they don't want to cover the image space. So
I wonder if it has anything to do with. So I think he's talking more about the end of this gigantic trade dress that takes a third of the book up, right? So like Detective, I referenced it earlier. Detective 113 or something like that. When the trade dress gets considerably smaller, it goes from like a third of the cover to like about 25% of the cover. And I wonder if it had anything at all to do with the newsstands and how the books were stacked and how much of the top of the book you could see in the newsstands.
Yeah,
because it wouldn't surprise me if, as comic books grew in popularity and started dominating newsstands, if they got stacked deeper and maybe less of the trade dress was visible, and you wanted somebody to be able to read all of Detective Comics, and if only the top fifth of the book was showing versus the top third, that meant adjusting the size of the trade dress. Not sure, but it wouldn't shock me if that was behind it. Hey, Mike, welcome to the show. He was fighting with Mother Nature. You'll have to tell us more about that.
Yeah, we can talk about this, but this was one of those kind of rabbit holes that I thought might kind of detract us from the focus, just because we were really, the focus here will be showing the alternating covers and why it was happening. But that said, Dr. Paul really is the guy to ask about this. He's the DC guy. So I mean, aside from more fun, I don't know, Dr. Paul, do you have any?
Well, you had All American, which of course is where Green Lantern was introduced. And it clearly wasn't following this alternating. I don't think it was tied quite as tightly in terms of the marketing as National and DC were. It was a little bit looser. And as a matter of fact, and I think there was some infighting and there's a lot of backstory over here, right? As Jason's pointing to with Harry Donenfeld. But MC Gaines eventually forced the other guys to buy him out. So he actually, maybe it's 2 months, and again, help me out, chat, but there's a 2 or 3 month period where he tells these guys, okay, I'm out unless you buy me out. And he actually removes the DC bullet from all of the All-American titles, which of course are All-American, All-Star, Green Lantern, Flash, All Flash. And so they go from having the DC bullet to, for a 1 or 2 month period, they have a brand new bullet designed that says All American Comics. And in that, it actually has like a really neat golden age font. It's beautiful. It's really something. I love that logo, but it only lasts like 2 months, and they squash the business dispute they were having, and they eventually buy him out, and that's part of the whole merger that becomes again eventually DC. So that was all ongoing at the same time, but they were not following they were not following the strict rule of alternating that we had here. In terms of what else was being published, Superman was being published by now, but Detective was not. I don't know what else was. Oh, More Fun, of course, was going on over at DC. And again, I'm calling it collectively DC. And More Fun by this point was Sandman covers. And I think they were alternating. Very soon, they start alternating Sandman and the Spectre. And then eventually alternating Spectre and Dr. Fate, and then of course introducing Aquaman and Green Arrow, and then being mostly Green Arrow covers after that. So not as tightly as these two titles were being coordinated.
Well said.
We don't even plan this, guys. Nothing.
One other thing that I found myself while doing this is so Action 11 and 26, No Heroes, last time, 27, finally, Detective 27, we have the first appearance of Batman. And while Superman's not in the main image, they did have the banner, and they even kind of took it a step forward and included for the first time like the emblem, of Superman, there with the breaking the chain. So
yeah.
And that, I think that was kind of a big moment, even though it seemed kind of subtle. So
oh yeah, that logo goes on to be used for a long time. That little
quite a long time.
Man with the breaking the chains off the chest. And I guess it's just great doing the show and pulling these things together. I didn't realize Action which is it 12 that's coincident with Detective 27. I can't quite see the number. Yeah. I mean, imagine those two covers on the stands at the same time. Imagine you have one dime and you're there and you're looking at those two books and trying to decide. I mean, obviously we know which one you should have taken financially, but in terms of the dynamicism of the cover and just be a tough decision. I don't know which one my dime would go to. I probably would have gone with I probably would have gone with Zatanna's first cover there.
I could see the allure.
Zatara's first cover.
I see the allure.
Yeah.
For the intents and purposes of this segment, though, look at this. So Batman appears in 27, but then the next month when Action 13 is on the cover, nothing. All there is the banner at the top of Detective Comics indicating that Batman was in the issue, but they didn't want to have him competing with Superman, so they did not put him on the cover. And we know that was intentional because let's look at the next few months. So for Action 14, 15, and 16, Detective Comics 29, 30, and 31 were on stands at the same time. So you see how in Action Comics, they continued while the Superman wasn't on the cover, they did still include that emblem to indicate not just with the banner, with text. They also wanted to include the image saying, hey, he's not on the cover, but he is inside. And then at the same month, Batman finally gets his second cover appearance in his third issue. And then they take the month off to give Superman the cover. And then the next month, one of the most popular Batman covers of all time, Detective 31, they give him the cover, but they take Superman off the cover because they didn't want that competing with the Batman cover. So it seems at this point too intentional to not be. There's no way this was an accident.
No,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's actually smart marketing.
Yeah. Again, this Zatanna cover is amazing. Both Fred Gardner works. Maybe that's why it's so appealing to me. I'm not sure. But a couple things in the chat. I want to thank Mike and Jim both for pointing out spandex introduced in invented in 58, started being put in garments in 59, but widely used by the early 60s to early to mid 60s. So everybody put in the chat, what was the first piece of spandex that you owned? I also want to thank Jim for correcting me here. So I think I said Sandman started showing up in More Fun. Sandman, of course, started showing up in Adventure. And then eventually, yeah, exactly. So over in More Fun, you had, I was correct in saying More Fun went the Spectre to Dr. Fate to Green Arrow. But over in Adventure, the sequence was Sandman, and then Hourman, and then Starman, and on from there. So I appreciate that, Jim.
If I could use this moment too, just to say, hey everyone, yeah, if you're watching and you want to give a thumbs up, that would be great. We really appreciate it. If you want to give a thumbs down because you don't like us too, well then that's your right, and we appreciate you lending your opinion. Also, if I could say, maybe tomorrow after you've already watched this live, or if you're watching it not live, and you want to come back and leave a comment, boy, we appreciate it so much, because those comments really kind of help the video get out there to people that haven't watched before or wanted to see it otherwise. So thank you so much for everyone tuning in. We really appreciate you.
I cannot believe this. Jim has had 73 years to purchase a piece of spandex clothing and has failed. I do not understand at all. AJ, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I have to say, this is You Pluck My Last Comic and I both. It was an early pair of biker shorts that I wore at track events, actually. For me,
you just don't want to admit that you own Speedos.
But that's actually not true at all. I freely admit owning Speedos. But it was the question: what was the first article of spandex clothing you ever owned? Go ahead.
If you're looking at the cover to Action 14, 15, and 16 here, you'll see how the Superman emblem is there just beneath the masthead on 14, and then on 15 it's okay, he's on the cover image, it's fine. And then on 16, what they did was, instead of putting it in the image area, they replaced the 64 pages of thrills with his emblem, so just right up there in the top left, and it would stay there going forward.
Yeah, where it looks awesome.
As you see, yes, for the next 5 issues, look at it. It's all harmonious. There's really no deviation now, aside from that cover to Action Comics 18 being the final non-Superman cover. So this is a continuation showing how the cover to Action 17, but Detective 32, Superman's on the cover, Batman's not. Then on the next month, you have Detective 33, which, shout out Detective 33. One of my favorite covers.
I think I was going to say, I think what they did was, the prior grouping, they were just doing kind of a marketing experiment, just to see the interest in detective comics, like the actual crime, or superheroes, and they discovered the sales were much higher for the superhero books. That said, hey, let's go that direction, and that's why you're starting to see it.
Yeah, it took about 6 months or so from the introduction of Batman for them to really kind of start catching on to say, hey, honestly, it's okay if we put them both on the cover, So by Detective 35 and Action 20, you see there they are. They're both there on the cover. They really didn't have to worry so much about them competing. If anything, it was starting to kind of become a powerhouse.
I was going to ask this question anyway, but Anybody ever owned any of these books? I'll start. I've never owned any of them.
Yeah, not me.
Collecting Chaos used to own an Action 17, but was unemployed and broke, and rent was due. So, you know, it put a roof over your head for a month, or and that's something.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's better than you can say for a lot of your hobbies. If your hobby was bowling, that sure as hell didn't put a roof over your head for a month. Don Carter, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Oh, thanks, Don.
Wow.
So it's
what
interesting.
Parade.
Once you start seeing little things too, like they gave Superman the emblem for every issue now. There was no more 64 pages of thrills. But for Detective 35, there's still 64 pages of thrills. They still include that there to kind of throw the advertisement. So this is still a tryout period. They're still testing things. Clearly, this wasn't a wow. Every decision wasn't a final. This is the best way to do this and move forward.
Yeah.
So,
well,
really, the markation is 1940 is when it all came together. January 1940.
Yeah.
That's the first month that they both shared the cover, and moving forward would from then on in. So
yeah. Well, and again, I mean, I was marveling at that 1 month where we had the choice between Zatanna and Batman, but here every single month you're looking at bangers, right? And they're just alternating these amazing, incredible covers. One thing I wanted to, I've never talked to you about this, Phil, but your tattoo and that issue. One of the reasons I don't love it as much as I might is because
I'm gonna mute you. Give me a second.
I don't know the issue number, but about a year later, there's a cover that looks almost exactly like
it. Yep.
Except Robin's in the back seat of the car.
Tied up. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm like, it just kind of cheapens this earlier one for me because
no, it makes this one even better.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I guess it is an early swipe. I guess it's a very early example of an homage, just this cover being so great.
They homaged that before 31. Think of that.
Saying. Oh, absolutely, they do. Yeah.
Saying.
And we do get here the intrusion into the trade dress of the cape in such a dramatic fashion.
It really is.
Yeah.
Not to lend bias, but there was a reason I picked that image. I still think it's one of the best, largest, earliest Batman.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
It's just because you're into the ultra violence and you like the holster with the gun.
It's the claws and the gloves that he's. If you really zoom in on the Detective 33, I mean, it's not. Those aren't a man's hands. They look like a bat's, like a Batman's hands, claws, whatever you want to say, hybrid there. But really, it's dark. This is the pre-Robin period. So,
well, I mean, for my opinion here, but the pre-Robin covers of Detective that feature Batman, every single one of them is a banger. They're all incredible. It's just like all of those early Spectre covers in More Fun. Just like 1 month after another, just insane, dramatic covers that now, I mean, over at More Fun, those books sell for 10 grand just because of the cover, even in low grade.
And nothing against Superman, but man, if you just look at these 3 Batman covers here, if you look at what entry-level copies of those go for versus entry-level copies of the Superman copies and the covers in the group above, you're playing 2 different sports. It really you would say, how is the disparity so great? Well, it is. So,
Batman is just a normal guy in a costume. Superman actually has superpowers, and I think at the time that's what people were really interested in. So,
it's definitely a whole different appeal. Let's check in with chat here. Mike says he owned early near mint issues of Wiz. I mean, that's Action Comics adjacent for sure. That's nice.
Yep.
And Collecting Chaos says the sale of that book actually paid 2 months rent and the electric bill. So again, much better than just about any other hobby. So
True.
Oldest Action owned by You Pluck My Last Comic is issue 275. First mention of the heat vision. Well, that's pretty.
No, I didn't know that.
That's something. That took a while, huh?
Yeah.
They were giving him every power under the sun, and it still took to 275 to come up with heat vision. Phil, welcome to the show again. Says second show I've watched. Just got a raw Weird Science Fantasy 25 issue in acceptable condition, stapled together, loose cover, taped up. Hey, man. As long as all the panels are there, it's awesome as far as I'm concerned. And even if some of the panels are missing, it's probably still pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Get that tape off of there, though.
Well, yeah. Long term.
Yeah.
One thing I also just noted here on these covers is even though Superman's on the cover, they still include him in the emblem at the top, but they didn't for Batman issues. Sorry, Bats. But I guess they liked Superman. He was introduced first, so they had a couple of months head start to try to figure it out, or they just assumed based on the letters that kids were sending in, that he was popular, but it was just a time. All they needed was the time to find out that Batman 2 was also popular. So.
Let's take a minute and talk about this. So Jason says early Golden Age comic collector David Wigransky, who had a 2,500 book collection as early as 1948, mentioned to Basil Wolverton that to him the Golden Age was between 39 and 42.
Huh.
So I do have issue with the definition of the Golden Age going right up to like whenever the Silver Age started, especially because the Silver Age was a slow burn. It's not like there was one book published and then all of a sudden the Silver Age was upon us, right? So I think in general, most people say, well, if it's before the Silver Age, it's Golden Age, right? Or at least it's Golden Age back to the first publication of Superman. Maybe they acknowledge Platinum Age before that. I'm not sure that the cutoff should be 1942, but it definitely should be before 1956. I mean, for sure, in my mind, the Golden Age is over by the time the Comics Code Authority shows up, and that's in, 53 or 53, right? 54?
Yeah, it was 53, 54.
Aside from some of the early Silver Age stuff, if you had a dime and you could go get a comic book, that's Golden Age as far as I'm concerned. So,
yeah.
Sorry.
I like
do
that.
get where you're coming from, though. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I may be, the Golden Age, I mean, really, you could make arguments for earlier yet. 42, sure. You can make an argument for the end of All-Star Comics in 57. I'm sorry, with issue number 57, which happened in 1949. But Phil, I have to say, like, once the comic code shows up, it's over, man. We have to have a different
100%.
Those are still a dime, though.
Well, that's why I said with exception, Oh,
so. Yeah. I mean, I think I don't see how anybody can make a cogent argument that the Golden Age continues beyond 53 when the code comes out. The Golden Age is over. Now
I agree.
You've got the No Man's Land from 53 to 56, and I don't know what you want to call it. I personally think the best argument has been made for the Atomic Age, I think we should include Atomic Age comics in our conversation in this show. And I don't know that we have to be pedantic about the end of the Golden Age, but I do tend to agree. It definitely is not just anything that's pre-Silver Age. That's for sure. Yeah.
I think that it's the umbrella of, Golden Age as 38 to 54, 55. But savvy people kind of know that there is a big distinction between the content being put out from, say, 1938 to 1948, really, and then it really substantially changes. And there's a lot of difference between that material in 1949 to the mid-50s. So Atomic really is a fair there. It's almost like an early and a late Golden Age, if we want to be more specific. I think even saying it like that might keep it cleaner. Really later Golden Age just
But even
has
then,
an
I
umbrella
think
name as a comic.
even then, I think you would have to go early, middle, and late Golden Age, because the stuff from before the U.S. gets involved in the war, and then the stuff when the U.S. is in the war, is very different content, right?
Sure.
We got a lot of great content here in the chat, and also how far in the past these things happen changes our view, right?
Exactly.
As many of you know, I'm a car enthusiast as well. What we today consider the first generation Corvettes, and we'd lump them all together from 53 up to 62, and we call them all C1s, first generation Corvettes. In the day, that was considered 3 different generations. But with the passage of time, they were like, the subtle differences between them were not enough to denote a new generation, and they collapsed that into just C1s. So over time, these things in our view of them changes. Like I said, some really interesting comments over here. AJ says there was a Tech 37 today on Heritage.
Yeah.
I have one. How did you do in your auctions today, Larry? Do you want to say?
I have to admit that, being in Belgium, everything's late at night. I took a nap and I missed out on the one I was chasing. So,
I actually have something on eBay that I'm sniping on. I set up my software to snipe it, and I put my level in, and I'll either get it or I won't. But I kind of hope I do. But I don't want to say what it is. I don't want to say what it is and have people go attack my snipe.
I know, because I've got the snipe set up on something in eBay right now too.
Ooh.
It ends in 34 minutes, so hopefully it's not the same thing you're saying.
I doubt it. Collecting Chaos says Silver Age should start with the comics code. The Silver Age for me begins, and I think for most, begins with the reincarnation of the superheroes in 50 that starts in Showcase in 56. But I feel like the comics code comes out, and honestly, comic books are adrift for a little bit. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing, and so I wouldn't give that the Silver Age moniker there. But teach his own. AJ says people have preference for pre-war, wartime, pre-code. Yeah, all of these definitions don't really line up exactly with the Golden Age, right? I mean, they're all parts of the Golden Age. And that is where collectors tend to sort of concentrate their efforts, right, and focus. So that's kind of interesting that there are these eras that kind of transcend the Golden Age that tend to define a lot of people's collecting efforts anyway. eBay doesn't have a category for atomic. Yeah, that's a good idea. The professor, always thinking. Phil, okay. Is it? I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's Phil Rutkiewicz Jr., 65 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so too, KK. We should coordinate better and stay out of one another's way. Let's see what, I don't know if I should throw this up here before I even read it, but what the hey. Knocking Futz says, hey guys, Action Comics are the best, but I tend, gets me going PEP 22 or All American 16 for real. I'm with you. If you're stick around, you will hear me carrying on and on about All American 16 every time anybody brings up Action 1 or Tech 27. Back to you, Phil.
Well, the main point has really kind of been made, but I just wanted to show just a continuation of the title. It's just to kind of show, again, looking back here, how there was still just the previous markings of that pulp era, and it's gone now. It's totally enveloped by the superheroes. They clearly have taken over. In just a year and a half, there was no need for DC to really try stuff out anymore. They knew they had some winners, and really it was how much can we get out, because this was clearly a dominating genre that was here to stay. And 86, over 85 years later after Superman's debut, it hasn't gone away. You can make the argument that it's kind of become even more ingrained in popular culture. So
yeah. Well, it went to sleep though for a little while there during the Code era.
Sure.
And I suppose that could happen again.
Sure, I suppose that's possible.
There are a lot of books. There are a lot of genres. One thing that I think is healthy about the new comics, which we don't talk about very often, but there are so many genres being published today, and sometimes the hottest seller of any given month. I mean, some of if the gals are still here running comic shops, they can tell us. Sometimes the hottest thing happening has nothing to do with spandex, right? Like Dork or whatever's coming out this month, right? So I think that's healthy. And I think also a lot of us that started with the spandex comics now appreciate some other genres. Like Captain Larry is running down some sci-fi comics over there in Planet and having a great time doing it, and realizing that there's some amazing stuff that published that has nothing to do with superheroes.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Also, it's interesting that superheroes in their own way in some more modern literature, I guess, become just kind of a background for the narrative. In the same way where like a show like, or a comic that became the show like The Walking Dead, while it's a horror genre, the focus is on the character. So it just happens to take place in the background, where what I'm getting at is, a lot of the superheroes in their inception here were just punching bad guys and, beating up the crooks that stole from the bank. And, it was very, very straightforward.
Even Superman.
Yeah. There wasn't, the idea that there would be complex, these characters, beyond just like Batman's origin, dealing with the death of his parents. That was almost as complicated as it got. It wasn't too crazy. So seeing how it's been able to, the genre's been able to adapt to stay relevant is
the other thing I was looking at, we're talking about the genre and the way things have progressed into the modern age of comic books and what drives collectors right now in the modern age. It's not necessarily the stories, it's the art. You look at the things like they got Absolute Batman. Now that I don't care for the art, but the stories are really good. Prior to that, you're looking at just some of this amazing art that these young artists are coming out with, as opposed to what we're dealing with Golden Age books. It's a different style completely. Mm-hmm. And we went after the stories. That's what we were interested in the Golden Age. And today people are looking at the art. And
you see the writers, and that's such a good point. You see writers and artists now who are like, we want to tell a story that has substance. We want to, and back then it was make a good image to sell the comic. That was, like
that's all it is. Get the comic out there and sell it.
Yep. And to that point too, they didn't even want. This is basically the same company not wanting to compete with itself. I mean, that's when you really. That's kind of crazy.
It broke things up into divisions internally, and there's a group just working on action. There's a group just working on detective. There's a group working on other things. And they were compartmentalized. They didn't touch each other, but yet it was the same publisher.
Yeah. Oh, we've got some great content in the chat here. Mike says he had Wiz 34819 2025. Captain Marvel Adventures, the Atomic War Story, one of the last issues. Atomic War Story was, I've heard this before. I haven't read it, but I've heard this before. Very dark and grim story. Here's a great side quest for us. Knocking Futz says, Tech 31 is the best cover. So let's everybody vote which pre-Robin cover of Detective is the greatest.
Pre-Robin for certain.
And then after everyone votes, I will tell you who's right and who's wrong. How's that sound? Do you have this same slide for Tech?
I do. So just for the sake of showing it all laid out, kind of,
it's beautiful.
From the inception of, I didn't do Tech 1. I started it more closer to when Batman.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Was incepted. But here you can see it's easier to kind of visualize that gap between the first 7 issues, with Superman on issue 1 and not again until issue 7. And then that top row is only 2 Superman covers. So
yeah.
And then that second row, he's alternating and not even alternating, because the first couple, it was, there was still a gap. And then that whole bottom row, there he is in every one. So that's just in 3 rows you go. It's such a parabolic increase. It really is over just a 1.5 year period. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but looking at modern comics, it's hard for me to keep up with stuff. I think actually this is almost just as long now as when Absolute Batman came out in, I think, December of 2024. So that title has been out roughly as long, and it feels like to me it's like it just got here. So it's the same amount of like this. Really, it just got there, and this all happened. Yeah. This happened very quickly. Very quickly.
Absolutely.
And then here we go to see Detective 2, so you can see that whole top row 1, and it's the first appearance, but everything before that was just
okay. So you got Tech 27, amazing. I mean, they're all amazing. You got Tech 29, amazing. You got Tech 31, amazing. Tech 33, so amazing that Phantom Phil had it committed to his
flesh. We can end this now. We already know this is the best one. So
committed to his flesh for all time. Tech 35, amazing. Tech 31 and 35 are both featured in O'Brien, for what it's worth. Tech 36, Tech 37, and then it's game over. All right, vote. Tell us which one is Knucking Futz is already in on 31, I believe. That's what started the conversation. I think 31 is pretty strong. It's going to be tough to knock 31 off the top of the hill.
Oh my God, everyone's voting for 33. Can you believe it? I can't even. Wow.
33. I mean, 29 is amazing.
If I could have got 31 tattooed on my arm in a way that it wouldn't have just had to be the whole image, like, I get it. It is
right.
It's brooding. I get it. I had to pick the singular full body Batman image.
Yeah, that was the best.
Just saying, doesn't the Batman from 33 stand out among this whole group?
Absolutely true. Yeah, that's actually, I don't think you could dispute that, actually. If you were talking about just the Batman image, yeah, I think that's hands down. 33 is the best, and you weren't trying to get a tattoo of the entire cover.
No.
So that, yeah, that's yeah, I think that's correct. All right, so what else do we have votes for? We got 29, 31, 33. Not 38 was not one of the options. 31, 33. I wish Tech 31 was the cover art for 27. I mean, I personally, I like 27. I really like 29. They're all amazing.
Like you said, really, all the Batmans are all bangers. I mean, every one. No offense to Superman again, but you can argue that him lifting a submarine out, you're like, okay, and the other one where there's like some big piece of power equipment where he's like really small, and you're like, okay, he's doing something, but it's not like sorry soup, but Bat really he got the he really did.
What do you think there, Captain Larry?
He also had ghost artists, a lot of ghost artists.
Okay, so I'm a Tech 31 guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
33. Yeah, I like 33, honestly. That is the best depiction of Batman on a cover, would be 33 for a full body shot, but
Mhm.
31. If you asked me which one would I like to own, I would pick
If you had to
31.
pick one, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commandant VHS is the lone defender of number 36. Welcome to the show.
Nice.
I also believe 31 is the greatest cover, but 29, I think, is way up there for me as well. Not I think. 29 is way up there for me as well. Very close to 31 because 31 is obviously more abstract, right? Like we all know Batman's not a
Oh, yeah.
giant, right? So it's an abstraction. So if
What?
I'm looking at the ones that
No, I
are
thought this whole time that he was bigger than the. Oh
no,
no!
you're
You
thinking of
ruined
the
it.
Spectre, my friend.
What is anything?
So I should have said spoiler alert, right?
You've ruined him.
No.
But if we're looking at the ones that are not an abstraction, then 29 is my favorite. We're coming up with all these subcategories,
Wait.
which is fun. Yeah,
it is
all
cool
of
to
the
see
above.
these, to see these all laid out, and yeah, I don't know. I thought this was kind of a fun segment because as long as I've been collecting, there's still to this day covers that I'll see where I'm like, how did I miss seeing this? I've never seen this cover for the first time, or little subtleties within why things are the way they are. And I think this was an interesting inception and fun historical fact about two of arguably the most popular superheroes that exist to this day.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Absolutely. So
it's just you look at the homages and things like that have been done of these books in modern times, and that speaks for them too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do one more side quest.
Monkey 3K says,
who is the supervillain of the Golden Age?
Joker.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Knock knock. Who's there? Joe. Joe who?
Okay, who else is even in contention? Chat, tell us what you think. Is it just going to be Joker for everyone? Someone asked about the first recurring Superman villain is the Ultra Humanate.
Actually, right? I'm going to change my answer to Robin. Because he totally destroyed the book after that. I mean, nobody wants anything after that. He's the biggest supervillain.
Ruins everything.
He ruins everything.
I mean, it's definitely nothing happening over inaction, right? Like for sure, because Lex Luthor doesn't show up, until much later, and he's not even who he is today. And I feel like the toy man is recurring more for Superman than Lex Luthor, and it's just it's clearly not happening over there. The prankster or somebody, right? But that said, Phil, how much of your love for the Joker comes from later works? Like, is the Joker truly the greatest during that era? I'm not sure that's true.
I still think that you'd have to say that Joker's the greatest from this era, and I say that just because I mean, when you really think about it, there wasn't really an emphasis on villain during this age, really. So the fact that he even was introduced lasted longer than his origin issue, which he wasn't supposed to, and then was reoccurring enough to last through time. I mean, I would have a hard time thinking that while he wasn't like a huge baddie like he is now then, but compared to everything else, he still was. So it's not by a lot, but it's by comparison.
Yeah, because back then he was really a clown that did bad things, and then he didn't go really, really dark until much later.
Yeah, because of course his first appearance is post Robin, right? So the Joker does not occur in this pre-Robin tech era, right?
No.
Yeah, we got a couple votes for the Red Skull.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Death. Yeah, Red
Yeah.
Skull. Red Skull's a good.
I'm going to give you guys a clue, though. The greatest was born on a Monday.
Calendar Man? I don't know. I don't know.
Phil not old enough to get that one.
Like I said, I'm only 28, so I'm not, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, this is technically still in the era.
Yep.
First Riddler, Tech 140. That is a book. That is a book I'll get excited about. Penguin is in the era. I don't think he's in the running, but he is in the era.
Yeah.
Somebody was old enough to know.
Nice.
Come on, you guys.
Born on a Monday.
Nobody has a better debut. Nobody has a better debut than that cover. I mean, Joker's not even on the cover of his debut of All American Comics 63. Come on. Nobody. All right. Well, at least Collecting Chaos knew what I was talking about. And Solomon Grundy's also post Doiby Dickles. So what are you gonna do?
Oh,
that's 4 episodes in a row, so we cannot go an episode without you saying Doiby. I'm gonna make a reference.
We're gonna make.
We
gotta reference it every single time.
Maybe I should start wearing a Doiby during our show.
No, you just have to put $1 in the swear jar. That's.
So interestingly, Nakinfat says good condition Cap 3 is a bucket list. That's referencing to first Red Skull, although a character named the Red Skull does appear actually in Captain America Comics 1, but is kind of retconned to not be the Red Skull.
I like the
surviving Red Skull.
But the cover at number 3 is actually that's that yellow cover, and it's just really pops.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's got the girl. It's got bondage.
It's got everything.
I mean, you guys just from memory recalling the bondage, huh?
Oh yeah.
We don't even have to put it on the screen.
Oh no.
Well, sex sells. That's the way,
we're in a hobby. We're in a hobby
where
a subgenre is bondage. You say that to the average person, and they look at you like,
"Oh my gosh,
I didn't know you were."
So
into that.
So people ask you, what do you look for in a comic when you're looking at? I look at the cover. I'm looking for a skull. I'm looking for a woman that's tied up. I'm looking for Nazis.
Steps away from
I'm looking for all these things, and if I get all that in one cover, that's the book I want.
Oh,
just being honest.
You're being honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is the best policy, as they say. I think we should just wrap there. I think once we get Nazi skulls and bondage, where else can we go? No place productive.
That's for what we can put a pin in that for the next, not next week because that's the Comic Conservatories, but the following week. I think we should take up the stance, and we can use that as a segue. Why don't we do some World War II Nazi bondage?
We can do that.
I was almost going to pick some Schomburg goodies for this show, but
Schomburg would cover all of that. The only thing I don't chase after is really some people go after are the drug covers, and I just don't care for them. That's just a personal thing for me.
Sure,
understandable.
Or are the like hypodermic needle covers or drug covers specifically? Because hypodermic needles, like they're being used to poison somebody, or they're going in the eyeball.
Well, I can't say anything because you guys were there with me when I bought that one with the green zombie that was injecting himself.
Oh, that's right.
It was just That's
so there's exceptions.
Yeah, that was it. I still have it.
All right. Well, let us know in the comments whether you want us to focus on bondage, Nazis, or skulls. We will definitely judge you, but that's what we're here for.
I love that. For next week, let us know for the next Golden Age show. What content should we do, everyone? Put it in the comments. Leave us a comment.
Yeah, that's actually.
Captain Larry's an expert in all 3, so he can speak eloquently on any of them. It'll be great. Let's wrap here. As I said, I think we've reached peak fun. I want to thank again this show's sponsor, Salesboy Comics, Don Carter, Collecting Chaos. You plucked my last comic. I am the Starman. I had to take a breath this time. Gorilla Monkey 3K, Comic Doctor, Department of Comics, and the Archivist Adrift. Thank you so much for our super chatters. This show sponsoring next week's show in Conservation Realm, Collecting Chaos. You plucked my last comic. Gorilla Monkey 3K, Salesboy Comics, and Don Carter. Again, thank you all so much. Thank you for anybody who corrected me during the show or at any time. I appreciate it. I love having the record be set straight, and I love learning stuff. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining the chat, for joining in, for playing our side quests. Please give the show a like and subscribe if you somehow haven't already. Go check out Flying L Comics, any of the number of our sponsors' channels. And thank you, too, to those of you watching it later. We do appreciate you catching us. We know not everybody's available on the Lord's Day, so thank you. That said, I'm going to say until next time, take care of one another.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Great job, Phil.